Episode 58, A Tragic Accident and a Successful Firefight, April 1943. The morning starts off with a visit by the Red Flyers. Early we're awakened by the dropping of bombs and hearing the engines of the machines buzzing over us. But that was just a short stint, because already a short time later German fighter planes are engaging the enemy and chase the unwelcome visitor away from over our quarters. Here and there, we had a few fires and destroyed trucks, but with few wounded, we got away pretty well. Nevertheless, this way a day is already off to a bad start, but it can only get better. After breakfast, we prepare for the next mission. As support for the infantry, we're to provide cover with our Rosinante. According to the situational map, we're supposed to cover a distance of 25 kilometers in the approach, then unite with the infantry and the assault guns, and together give the assault momentum. According to the reports, it's going against a hill, from which one has vision across a large sector of our rear area. Obviously strategically important, this location is to be taken. I'm curious what our role will be, since the assault guns are more likely to support the infantry in the advance, and we're certainly supposed to take enemy positions under direct fire from the second row. Across confusing roads and trails, we divert to the neighboring unit. En route, we meet two Panzer which are taking the same way, but are on a different mission. The commanders talk with each other. Afterwards, the three of us drive on. We now have to cross a river which doesn't appear to be too deep, but if one's got bad luck, one does get wet feet in it after all. But a ford is marked, and that way we arrive slowly but dry on the opposite riverbank. The Panzer III, which is driving right behind us, also makes it through all right, but the second tank breaks down in the riverbed and is smoking. Somehow, surely water has gotten to the engine. Our commander looks at the clock. Actually, we don't have time for this, but he doesn't want to leave the comrade's tank behind, and the other Panzer III won't manage the recovery tow alone. Therefore, we roll back again and remove the steel cables from the rear. With large hooks, the disabled tank is hooked onto. That way, with enough towing capacity, we can pull out the tank together. I give the driver instruction on how he should drive. The commanders watch on from the embankment. Our senior ensign is pressing. Time is running out. Two tank soldiers quickly jump around in the hip-high water and attach the steel cables with considerable difficulty. But suddenly something goes wrong. The forward Panzer III rolls back too far. Even the yelling of the comrades from the turret down into the fighting compartment doesn't seem to help. The tank keeps rolling. I already see it coming. The one tank soldier in the water gets in between the vehicles and is literally squashed. A bone-chilling scream echoes across the riverbed. Now, finally, the forward Panzer III rolls forward again. The comrades jump into the water and pull the injured one out. There's nothing else to be done. The entire chest is pushed in. That was the loader. What a horrible death, and the scream. There's a loud discussion amongst those involved, but the commanders intervene and defend the driver. He simply didn't hear it. That's how it then happened. By that, of course, it does not get better. He will now have to live with this forever, having a comrade on his conscience. We have to move on. After we've pulled the tank from the river, the Panzer remain behind. We continue our way. We arrive at the combat post of the infantry unit and report to a captain on site. Our senior ensign is briefed on the situation. Meanwhile, we walk over to the assault guns. We get into a conversation with the comrades who aren't thrilled about the planned assault. It appears as if the captain wants to employ the Stugs as a ram, which in itself isn't wrong, but it is apparently not known whether there are anti-tank gun emplacements on the hill. Reconnaissance is poor. From the air there wasn't much to see. The men suggest that we should take over the lead, but we're assigned to the second row in order to provide pinpoint fire upon identified targets with our long 75 megameters, and then follow behind. Another hour passes by until all have been briefed on the situation. We roll forward for now. Then artillery is to lay blocking fire on the hill. After that, the 2GS are to advance with the infantry. The terrain is very uneven. That's good for the foot soldiers due to the cover. We mount up and take the safety of the weapons. It's ready to go. The assault wedge rolls forward. To the hill, it's a good 5 kilometers. After a few minutes, well-placed German artillery fire sets in. The entire hill trembles under the impacts. That, however, doesn't mean anything. The Russians are still able to, after the most devastating shelling, crawl out of their holes and open fire. We've already closed in to within 2 kilometers. The artillery fire is letting off. A good 150 of our men leap forward and are jumping from depression to depression. There are no planes to be seen. Now we're slowly getting within range of the anti-tank guns, if there are any. I try to look for targets, but Rocinante is rocking like an old fishing boat. Therefore I have the feeling of becoming seasick in the crate. At 1,000 meters distance we come to a halt. I have a good position, standing halfway down a depression. I swing the turret from left to right, but can't spot any targets. The assault guns roll further forward, but then all hell breaks loose. Machine gun fire and anti-aircraft shells are hammering down on us. No anti-tank guns. Or are they still holding off? I see hundreds of muzzle flashes and wait for targets. The senior ensign issues the order to engage recognized targets over the radio. I take on the Russian anti-aircraft guns because they're tearing large holes into the attacking infantry. I aim straight for the muzzle flash and send off the first high-explosive shell. Not a direct hit, but it probably got the crew. I swing a few degrees to the left. Another such anti-aircraft gun. I need 3 shots until no one there is able to pull the trigger anymore. The infantry have recovered from the initial shock and are taking up the firefight. In a hail of fire, the assault guns roll further forward. The anti-aircraft guns can't hurt them that way. The caliber is too small. The Stugs give each other cover. The one rolls, the other performs a firing stop. Then the other rolls again. They know what they're doing. We pull forward 200 meters. Slowly, the infantry is approaching the hill. More and more German machine guns are joining the battle. Then a loud muzzle report. That was no anti-aircraft gun. So anti-tank guns after all. The senior ensign assigns me the target. I turn the turret. Then I have the well-camouflaged anti-tank gun in the crosshair. I'm just about to fire when I see the muzzle flash, and it directly impacts into the assault gun to the left of us. Now it's my turn. I shoot, and in a flash of fire the ammunition by the artillery piece explodes. A second anti-tank gun is finished off by the other assault gun. Now the foot troops have reached the destination and are clearing the hill. The enemy fire slowly subsides. We roll on further to provide cover. Close to another half an hour passes by and we've not acquired any more targets for our cannon. The hill have been taken and the wounded are brought to the rear. We roll back and stop near the assault gun. They've suffered 1 dead and 2 wounded. The commander is mad. 1 man lost and the gun in the junk. At least it didn't catch on fire. I look at the damage and think to myself that they were still lucky. The shell penetrated the lower plate near the drive and was literally stopped by the suspension of the forward drive gear. Otherwise that caliber would have marched straight through to the engine. That way it only hit the driver. Bad nevertheless, we still helped to load the wounded onto the truck and then hitch the assault gun to our tank. We can definitely tow, we've already demonstrated that. We tow the assault gun back to the combat post and report back to the captain. He is highly elated over the successful assault and explains to us that he'd inform our platoon leader that we had been an essential part of the success. The foot soldiers have been hit hard, 12 dead and many wounded. Fortunately, the artillery had destroyed several anti-aircraft and anti-tank guns in the approach. Otherwise, the losses would certainly have been even higher. We remained there for a while longer, since the field kitchen just pulled up, and things don't go so well on an empty stomach. The infantry soldiers are gawking at our tank and joke amongst each other. that one would be really safe inside such a steel box. I join in and explain how quickly that could be over. There, one down in a foxhole would have more possibilities. They can't quite believe this, but I don't want to give too much away. We get on our way home because we don't want to arrive after dark. In high gear, it's going back through the river of fate, all the way to the tank repair shop. I notice that our gun barrel has suffered some damage and would like to hear from the mechanics about that. The tank is parked there. The commander dismisses us for the evening. That worked out well, he still remarks to me, and I can't complain. He stood his own. May it continue this way. In my quarters, there is mail from home. Mother wrote that my friend from school, Paul, has fallen. With his unit, he had been deployed in the fighting around Stalingrad, and as it appears, his regiment had been completely wiped out. Maybe he was lucky and went into captivity, whereby I'm thinking that really wouldn't be good luck. At home, everything is otherwise as always. Many in the workforce are missing, therefore, more and more French and Englishmen. So prisoners of war. I ask myself, why doesn't one use any Russians? There must be 1 million prisoners of war already. In my father-in-law's business, a few Tommies have already been employed apparently. Well, then production is going on well. Ever more planes were in the sky, and Hamburg was probably getting hit considerably. Just good that one isn't living in the city. Outside of it, the world is still all right. There was no mail from Gudrun, but the letters sometimes also take longer than you think. So Paul has also fallen. I can remember how proud he was when he was walking through our hometown in his uniform. And when he came home with the Iron Cross second and first class, he was the hero of our street. Fallen for the fatherland. That won't help his family anymore either. He was not married and is not leaving a wife and kids behind. Nevertheless, it's bad. I liked him very much. How many out of my graduating class will still have to spill their blood until we've defeated Russia? I hope that in the summer we'll deal the Reds such a blow that they'll finally realize that they cannot win against us. At some point, they also won't have any soldiers left and will have to surrender their weapons. Yes, in the summer, that's when it'll be decided.